Mediterranean mooring has undergone certain improvements over the past 5 years, which serve to facilitate a safe entrance and exit from the many natural harbours found in the Med. The most important change has been the mass introduction of lazy lines to avoid the necessity to drop the bow anchor when mooring stern to. An improvement which thankfully avoids the curse of anchor chain entanglement, but does tend to leave the bow at the mercy of the wind. This Med mooring video takes place in Croatia at the port of Sudaran on Šipan Island, being one of a group of 13 Elafiti islands just north of Dubrovnik. Our intention is to demonstrate how two people can perform a successful Med mooring from beginning to end on a 44-foot monohull yacht. Upon entering the harbour, we kept our eyes peeled for yacht masts and headed straight for the berthing wharf, motoring very slowly past the tied-up yachts, searching for an ideal spot to moor for tonight, as well as to make note of the position of the lazy line for ease of hooking it later. Once our mooring spot was chosen, we swung the bow round perpendicular to the quay and headed towards deep water, where we find ourselves now, some 50 meters from our final destination. The wind has also reduced to 15 knots. Once your yacht settles down in neutral, allow the vessel to be swept naturally along with the wind. This leeward or with the wind movement will ensure that your approach to the quay will be windward, in other words, against the wind, providing firm resistance for a controlled entry, much like that of an aircraft coming into land. Now is the time to prepare the yacht for mooring by dropping fenders over the side, transferring the dinghy from the stern to the bow, and also untangling the windward stern line. The skipper of the day should remind the deckhand of the day to position himself with boat hook in hand on the correct side of the stern as determined earlier, waiting to hook the lazy line at first sight. Furthermore, he would then need to gather in most of the lazy line slack and swiftly tie the rope onto the leeward, that's downwind side, bow cleat, which will assist in forcing the bow towards the wind.
Kim? Panicking.
The 5 or 6 minutes spent on mooring preparedness activities and last-minute discussions should have caused the yacht to move sufficiently to leeward, that's downwind, to begin the approach to windward, that's into the wind. The greater the prevailing wind speed, the further downwind your approach should begin from. Now, if you have heard nothing else, hear this. To maintain control, it is vital that you approach the quay whilst powering against the wind all the way in, and never with the wind. Now we're going in. Engage reverse gear and proceed stern first at slow speed directly towards your chosen berth. Your impending approach should alert a fellow yachtsman on shore or even a passerby to assist in your mooring with 2 simple activities. 1. To pull on the lazy line attached to the quay or jetty in order to lift the rope nearer the surface of the water for ease of hooking. And 2. To receive the windward stern line and to pass this rope over a bollard and return to the yacht. If you inadvertently motor past your chosen spot, you've lost the opportunity to make a successful mooring and must motor back out to deep water to begin the approach anew. As early as possible in the approach process, the deckhand retrieves the lazy line by boat hook from his position on the predetermined stern side. He then carries the lazy line to the bow area, gathers in most of the slack, and swiftly secures the line onto the leeward bow cleat. The yacht continues slowly on its path towards the quay, causing the lazy line to gradually tighten itself and so maintain bow integrity. However, it's quite likely that the lazy line will require some adjustment later. If the deckhand managed to fasten the lazy line on cue, this line should bring the yacht to a gentle stop, just short of the quay. If not, the skipper must engage forward gear to avoid a collision with the wharf. The windward side stern line is to be passed over a shore bollard and back to single cleat aboard. For the meantime, the skipper should hold this line to avoid slippage. Do not burden yourself with the leeward stern line at present, as it serves no immediate purpose. In consequence of the prevailing wind direction, the lazy line on the bow, together with the windward stern line, is currently sufficient holding power. To adjust the lazy line, the skipper should allow the yacht to drift out 5 meters from the quay by relaxing his grip on the windward stern line, thereby greatly assisting the deckhand to tighten and lock the somewhat bulky lazy line. Once the lazy line is secure, the skipper engages reverse gear to maintain a slow pulling pressure on the lazy line, thereby enabling the windward stern line to be easily tightened and locked. Finally, pass the downwind stern line over a shore bollard and return to cleat and lock aboard. The motor may now be killed and cold beers opened. Remember to offer your fellow yachtsmen who assisted in your successful mooring a cold one too. You're now at the end of a day of breathtaking scenery and wonderful sailing, and as the warm Mediterranean sun subsides into a golden sunset, it's time to stroll the streets of the village, soaking up the atmosphere of all there is to offer in Croatia. The stone houses, churches and the narrow lanes dappled with cozy restaurants, cafes and shops reveal a perfect harmony of past and present. After all, this is the land of 1,000 islands, of indescribable beauty. This enchanting setting has been transformed into a romantic evening as a gift from nature, and savouring the traditional dishes of Croatia with fine wine is a fitting way to enjoy the company of great friends, to discuss the day gone by and the new day to come.